Alright, real quick. Vlogmas day 18. I feel like I'm trapped in a bunker. Okay, so alright, so day 18. I am reviewing House of Whispers number 2. I am running out of Vertigo titles. It's okay. And I think that might be for the best. Real quick, House of Whispers. This is not horribly written, but it is not horribly written for a story or a book. But that said, it's not well... Hey, dude. It's not well written for a comic book. Its pacing is off. It's like panels are used inefficiently. Like, I mean, there's one point she's searching for something, the main character that is, and she's just opening doors and swearing. Nothing's really happening. Nothing's really happening is describes way too much of this comic. The problem is, I get the impression the writer has never written a comic book before. And whoever the editor was, or editors, if there was more than one, I don't think they provided enough guidance on this. This person needed a little more guidance. The thing about the book is, it is, briefly, a story about modern African mythos, the Loa, one in particular, a couple of them actually, and kind of their adventures. The main character is pulled through a crack in the Dreaming, which is actually a story point in Dreaming itself. I think at least one other title. Regardless, the problem is this doesn't have the weight of, well, for example, the Sandman. God, there were a couple instances where something like this happened in the Sandman, where there was, you know, deities in a modern setting. Sandman and Lucifer, now that I think about it. Deities in a modern setting for different reasons. And this lacked the weight of it. It didn't, it's like, these are really important events. Scary stuff is happening, important stuff is happening, and you don't feel it. You don't feel the consequences. It seems too much time is lent towards describing events that don't really need to be described. There really isn't a lot happening other than, we got sucked into the Dreaming. Let's try to get out. There's a big storm-like thing happening, and we failed to get out. Spoilers, I guess. So the story doesn't really move forward very much, other than the occasional info dump of, here's how the rules of this universe work. Here's how magic works. It just, the explanation of how things work and the events of this story are not just poorly paced, but poorly integrated. So it's, here's a lot of stuff not happening, here's a bunch of deities talking about themselves, here's someone describing to me why I'm supposed to care about stuff, and then Viggs, I don't care about any of these characters. I really do. Alright. I love my cat. Alright. What it boils down to is this. I think that the right person, someone who was really into this particular mythology, these particular stories, and this particular writer who's not done comic books before, but done other stories and stuff in a modern setting, someone else who's into this would love the hell out of this. The problem is I think that's a small audience. It's an audience that doesn't include me. And it's just not compelling. I just don't... there's not enough of these characters, there's not enough of this story to kind of link it together, to hook properly, to get you to know about these characters enough to care about their motivations and so on. I mean, I just reread this comic. I've read it twice. I can barely remember anyone's name except for Mr. Monday, the crocodile guy, who I kind of liked more. But it's like this is the where Lucifer 2 was the issue that convinced me to subscribe to it. This was the issue that convinced me that I want nothing else to do with this. It's going way too slow. None of these characters are interesting. This plot line, I have no idea what the gravity of any of this is supposed to be, what any of these consequences are, why I should care about anyone I've been shown. I just don't care. So I'm moving on. Really, that's kind of all I have to say about it. It's a medium book. Like I said, it's not horribly written, but it's not written as a comic book. It's not written with the cadence. Writing in any particular medium, whether it be a novella, a full-length like War and Peace sort of novel, a series of short stories, whatever it is, comic books, whatever it is, it has a sort of language and rhythm to it that's required by the medium. Different art styles can assist or help fill in any holes from any shortcomings in the writing. In the right sort of graphic novel, that's not the case here. This writer doesn't know how to write a comic book, and much to the detriment of this story, which is going way too slow. We needed the events of the last two comics to be the first half of a comic book. I mean, like 4 or 5 issues down the line, you'll have enough story to fit into one comic. This is no good. That's all I have to say about this. I'm done. Moving on to the next one that I didn't particularly like. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm done.